In a distant future, humanity has created a seemingly perfect society, where people are no longer born naturally, but grown in hatcheries and conditioned from birth to accept their place in a rigid caste system, ranging from the intelligent alphas to the subservient epsilons. To maintain peace and happiness, citizens are programmed to avoid deep emotions, discouraged from forming lasting relationships, and kept content with endless leisure, mindless entertainment, and the use of a powerful, happiness-inducing drug called soma.
Please like and subscribe to our channel.
Among them is Bernard Marx, an alpha who feels deeply alienated. Though technically superior in rank, he is physically smaller than his peers, and emotionally out of sync with society's values. Bernard is disturbed by the lack of individuality and purpose in his world, and he resents how others mindlessly embrace meaningless pleasure over deeper truths. He becomes intrigued by Lenina Crown, a beta technician who follows social norms unquestioningly, and finds Bernard's unease both attractive and confusing. Seeking something different, Bernard invites Lenina to travel with him to the Savage Reservation, a remote area where people still live, naturally giving birth, aging, and believing in religion. There, they encounter John, a young man born to a world-state woman named Linda, who was accidentally left behind years ago. John, raised on a mixture of Shakespearean literature, tribal values, and maternal stories of the world state, is torn between two cultures and full of internal conflict. He longs for purity, meaning, and heroism, but is repulsed by both the violence of the reservation and the shallow world his mother came from. Seeing a chance to embarrass the director who abandoned Linda years ago, Bernard brings John and Linda back to London, where their arrival causes a public sensation. The director is humiliated when confronted with his forgotten lover and her son, and he resigns in disgrace. Meanwhile, John becomes a celebrity, called the Savage, and is paraded around the city as a living curiosity, while the public adores his exotic appearance and strange manner of speaking. John is horrified by the artificiality, emptiness, and lack of morality he sees in the world state. Bernard basks in the attention he receives through his connection to John, abandoning his earlier ideals and behaving arrogantly. John, however, refuses to play along and withdraws from society. He grows close to Helmholtz Watson, a talented writer and thinker who also feels confined by the system. Tension reaches a peak when Lenina, genuinely attracted to John, tries to seduce him in a way that aligns with her society's norms. But John, deeply influenced by ideals of purity and love, becomes furious, calling her a strumpet and violently rejecting her. Soon after, John's mother, Linda, dies in a hospital from a soma overdose. When John sees how death is treated, casually children laughing and staff indifferent, he is overcome with grief and rage. He attempts to shake people from their numbness by throwing away their soma rations, inciting chaos and a riot. Bernard and Helmholtz arrive to help but are arrested along with John. The three are taken to Mustafa Mond, one of the world controllers, who calmly explains why art, religion, family, and science are suppressed. They threaten the stability of society. John pleads for meaning, passion, and freedom, even if it includes pain and suffering, but Mond rejects the idea, insisting that comfort and order must come first. Helmholtz welcomes the opportunity to be exiled to a remote island, where he can pursue real thought and creativity. Bernard panics at the thought of losing status but is sent away as well. John retreats to an abandoned lighthouse in the countryside, hoping to live in solitude, purify his soul through self-discipline, and escape the corruption of civilization. However, his retreat becomes a spectacle, with journalists and thrill-seekers invading his space and turning his suffering into entertainment. When Lenina appears among the gawkers, John loses control in a frenzy of guilt, rage, and confusion. The next morning, unable to reconcile his ideals with the reality of the world, or the part he played in it, John takes his own life, hanging himself in the lighthouse.
알더스 헉슬리 1894, 1963 와즈, 어디스팅귀슈트 브리티시 오서, 에세이이스트, 언드 펄라서퍼 후즈 워크 레프트 어 레스팅 임팩트 안마던 리터러처, 소트, 언드 컬처. 본 인투 어리나운드 인털렉추얼 패멀리, 히즈 그랜드파더 와즈, 더, famous biologist Thomas Henry Huxley and his brother Julian Huxley became a leading biologist. Aldous was immersed in a world of science, education, and critical inquiry from an early age. Despite suffering a serious eye illness in his youth that nearly left him blind, Huxley pursued an education at Eton and later at Balliol College, Oxford, where he studied English literature. Over the course of his prolific career, Huxley wrote more than 50 books, including novels, essays, travel writing, and philosophical treatises. He is best known for his 1932 novel Brave New World, a groundbreaking dystopian work that explores a future society governed by technological control, genetic engineering, mass consumerism, and the sacrifice of individual freedom in favor of stability and conformity. The novel remains one of the most influential and widely studied works of the 20th century. Huxley's writing often reflected his deep concern with the direction of modern civilization, especially the ways in which science and technology could be used to manipulate rather than liberate human beings. In contrast to the bleak vision of Brave New World, his later novel Island 1962 presents a more optimistic utopian society, emphasizing spiritual growth, self-awareness, and ecological harmony. In his later years, Huxley became increasingly interested in Eastern philosophy, mysticism, and the exploration of altered states of consciousness. His book The Dose of Perception 1954, based on his experiences with the psychedelic drug mescaline, played a significant role in shaping the 1960s counterculture and popular interest in expanding human consciousness. Aldous Huxley spent the final decades of his life in the United States, primarily in California, where he continued to write and lecture on issues ranging from education and politics to religion and the human mind. He died on November 22, 1963 the same day President John F. Kennedy was assassinated and fellow Ulysses S. Lewis passed away. Huxley's legacy endures not only through his literary achievements but also through his thought-provoking inquiries into the nature of humanity, the perils of modernity, and the search for deeper meaning in an increasingly complex world.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to our channel.